As promised in the last video, we are going to show a demonstration of our tool, Kalista. Just to remind you, in the previous video, we had shown the case where 10 years ago, a customer had approached us. This was a customer who was making watch straps, and he wanted an enterprise resource planning software using which he can completely automate his entire manufacturing process, starting from getting an order, having a list of clients, showing them the inventory, keeping track of the production, all of it, right? In fact, this is the user requirement document which we had captured at that time. So as you know, in the very first stages of a software development lifecycle, what we do is have a discussion with the client. In fact, let me see if I can show you standard set. So here are the steps of software development lifecycle. In the very first step is planning, where you talk to the client, have multiple discussions. It's typically a business analyst who does the discussion. He tries to capture the complete amount of knowledge that the client has. And during analysis phase, he sits with his own team and he creates multiple documents. We'll come to that in a second. In the third phase, he hands over these business-related documents, which including requirement generation, requirement documents, to his technical team or the technical project manager or a technical architect who creates a design over it. Then there is implementation, which is the coding. Then there is testing and integration. Deployment includes there, and the maintenance of the code. In fact, I wanted to show you documents which are created at every single stage. So we start with the very first stage. There is something called business requirement document that is created. In the analysis stage, there is SRS, which is software requirement specifications. In the design stage, this is where you have the technical architect creating high-level design, detail-level design, DDL, which is a data definition language, etc. Then this is the coding stage, source code, etc., and tests and bug fixes. Okay, so let's go back to what we were looking at. This was a requirement document from the client. The client, he says, name is Brahma. We are a watch manufacturer for European clients, including Armani and Swatch. And these were their major requirements. They wanted a security module, which is role-based, who can have access to the authentication and authorization stuff. Then they wanted a client module where they can keep track of all the clients. Then the actual buyer who's buying it for the client, then they wanted to keep a module which is to keep track of the rates of the straps, etc., etc. This is a very long document. As you can see, it has 9 pages. And that is because if you have ever been to a requirement gatherings with a customer, you understand it will take a lot of time and multiple discussions before you can completely capture the entire client's needs. Now, our goal was, given just this requirement documents, can we automate the entire software development lifecycle? So remember, last time we did this for the client, it took us 12 months to do it, where the client was expecting 36 months or 3 years. But this time, we have added the power of AI and quantum natural language processing. And let's see how long it takes this time. So I'm going to start a stopwatch for that. And this is our demo. So the first thing we're going to do is you browse and find the corresponding requirement documents. And all we do is click a button called Generate BRD from requirements documents. So it's a very complex process. It's taking a lot of time. Just to remind you, the BRD, or the business requirement specification, BRS, is the output of the very first stage of software development called planning. Okay. So let's see what happened there. It says BRD generated and saved to output/step1 BRD.md. So let's go to output/step1. Let's see, step 1, let's look at the document. Is it generated? Yes, let's look at the timestamp, 6:30 p.m. This is the BRD. So business requirement documents, let's try opening it. So this requirement documents is created in Markdown format. This is one of the formats we support and just easy for the demo. So as you can see, there's a very nice business requirement document which captures everything the user has said so far: project description, stakeholders, high-level requirements, etc., etc. So this is vetted by a lot of our program managers, and they are very happy with this product. Now let's go to the next phase. The next phase is we go to step 2, which is generate DDL. Now, I want to mention here are some other documents which we have skipped for now, which is software requirement specifications, high level design, detail level design. Honestly, those are the easy parts. And for the very first version of the demo, we did not want to include it or did not have the time to include it. What we are creating right now is DDL, which is data definition language, which is the SQL commands which creates the entire database based on what was created, what was given by the client. So let's click on generate DDL and let's see what happens. Also, you must note, oh, there you go. It's output step 2 ddl.md. So let's look at the folder step 2 ddl.md. So let's have a look at what this is. ddl.md is it is this code understands the entire requirement document, and it has captured all the roles, users, clients, everything that is needed from that particular requirement document. In fact, the very next step is we are going to go to step 3. We are going to use that and generate a database. Setting up database, creating tables, creating primary keys, etc. So while it does that, let me pull up the actual table that it is creating. We are using MS Access. Again, that is because I'm running on a virtual machine. This could be easily extended to the enterprise level software. So let's see where this was created. Okay, there you go. So this one, if you look at it, you can see that all these tables have been created: clients, orders, GUI, all of this, right? So at least the initial tables and the orders, all of them have been automatically created. Now let's go back to the demo and go to the next step, which is go to step 4, which is generate code. And this is the most beautiful part and the most core part of our product. So let's call it, let's click on that while the product comes up. I'm going to go back and close the Access database. Otherwise, it's going to complain. All right. So here is our code part of the code called Code Factory. The very first thing we are going to do here is we are going to connect the Code Factory to something known as a metadatabase. This is another secret sauce of ours, which clearly we are not going to mention in the demo. Second step is once we have the metadatabase created, we are going to connect to the database we just created, the source database, the demo one, right? So the demo database, 6:33 p.m. as you guys saw there, just created now, and we are connecting it to that database connection, 6:34 p.m. And there you go. So we can also see these kind of all the tables are ported here. Let's click next. We have to define what kind of tables they are. It's either BR table or data table. Let's call it data table. Go to the next step. You can see all this. This is all options for the user or end user. For example, the developer to make some changes in any of the tables if you want. These are optional steps. Same thing, this optional step if you're an end user like a programmer, if you want to do it. The most interesting part is the code generation part. So remember, we have only created just the very first database of it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder called generated code in C drive, and this is running on Windows machine right now. Okay, so we tell it, you create the code in this class path, click on generate code. Okay, so let's go open up what is happening. Let's go to C drive, create the new folder. Let's see what it is doing, working on it. All right, there you go. So it has created the entire software for buyers, buyer class, buyer form, buyer business object, buyer UI, everything, just with the click of a button. All of this can be combined and automated, but we are just showing it separately. Now let's look at clients. Let's go to clients and generate code. Go back to here. There you go. So you can see that date modified 6:35 p.m. There you go. The clients, business object, client UI, client VS, clients CL, everything. So in short, 80 percentage or 80 to 90 percentage of your code development is done in, let's go check the timer, stopwatch is done in 6 minutes and 38 seconds. Now, like we said, this is the very first pass of this demo, because of which the leftover part is basically adding what we call bells and whistles or tying a bow, which is nothing but creating a GUI. So in fact, the GUI code itself is generated, can be easily generated, and you can go back to generated code. The entire GUI is also created. The next part is we hand it over to the client and say, you add your favorite GUI and you can do whatever you want, Node.js, whatever the fancy stuff people are using these days. But 80 to 90% of your entire code is generated in 6 minutes. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the next big thing in the software world. 100% precise coding, everything runs perfectly, and we even showed this demo and showed this new product to the client from 10 years ago. They were surprised. Well, they were not, because they thought this was the same product. But when we told them it took us 6 minutes, they were shocked, because last time it took us 12 months to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new generation of entire software development lifecycle automation known as Kalista. Thank you. Bye.